Let's not kid ourselves. Despite all the fancy specs out there offered by many smartphone brands, there are a few main features the majority of us look out for. Now, camera, battery life, general performances, and looks, with priority usually given to camera capabilities. What we have here today are three major players when it comes to these four features: the ASUS Zenfone 3, the Oppo F1S, and the Samsung Galaxy A7, all more or less of the same price point. Alicia from KLGadgetTV here, and let's pit these three devices against each other. Let's start with the most important aspect of the phone in this day and age, which is the camera. Specs-wise, the ASUS Zenfone 3 sports a 16-megapixel rear camera with f2.0 aperture and 8-megapixel front camera with f2.0 aperture, while the Oppo F1S and Samsung Galaxy A7 both sport a 13-megapixel rear camera, though the F1S offers f2.2 aperture while the A7 comes with f2.0 aperture. The F1S has the highest megapixel when it comes to front camera though, with 16 megapixel f2.0 on the front, while the Galaxy A7 has only 5 megapixel f2.2 camera. However, a good camera phone is not just about specs. The software that goes with it actually plays a really large part in whether your photos are gonna come out awesome or lackluster. Okay, numbers aside, let's compare the photography software on each phone. Starting with the Zenfone 3, we can see that ASUS has actually given a lot of control to the user. So since most of us are not exactly professional photographers, we need a lot of help, which is why I really appreciate these presets, all 19 of them. Oppo also offers some presets for the F1S, but they are pretty basic, such as panorama, HDR, time-lapse, and beautify. At least the Galaxy A7 is better with 5 presets preloaded with another 5 more available for download. So, with all these presets, how well do the photos come out? Generally, the photos taken using the Oppo F1S are softer with a cooler color cast, while photos taken with the Zenfone 3 and Galaxy A7 is sharper with a warmer color cast, although when zoomed in, the photos taken with the Samsung are sharpened a little bit too much. Since the Zenfone 3 has a lot of presets that I can't go through each and every one of it one by one to compare, but generally, you can shoot like a pro without thinking about setting everything in manual mode, since the phone even post-processes the photos for you. The tricky part when it comes to phone cameras is how it fares in low light and how good you look in selfies. Now, when taking photos in low light conditions, not only is the speed of the shutter important, but how its sensor handles the lack of light. So, let's put these three phones to the low light test. They all handle low light quite differently. Now, the Zenfone 3 by far handles low light in the most balanced way, even in auto. There are times when it is hard to catch movement in low light, especially when trying to photograph kids, but it isn't too bad with the Zenfone 3. As long as it isn't too dark, you won't get pixelated photos when you zoom in after the shot. The ultra low light preset also helps a lot, but you really need to keep your hand steady. The Galaxy A7 didn't do really well in low light though, but the Oppo F1S wasn't too bad, although in low light it wasn't really consistent with its color cast. Another thing to point out is that despite how many brands brag about their camera prowess, if it does not have proper image stabilization, then the photos and videos will also come out less than desirable. So what we have here in terms of specs is the Galaxy A7 with OIS and autofocus, while the Oppo F1S does not have image stabilization but just face detection autofocus. The Zenfone 3, however, has the most impressive specs with a 4-axis optical image stabilization and laser face detection autofocus. Looks like the Zenfone 3 wins this round, which isn't a surprise really, since its 4-axis OIS actually means that its lens moves in 4 axes or 8 different directions to compensate for your handshakes and wobbles during shooting. ASUS has also changed their autofocus algorithm to include 3 different autofocus technology, so it looks like it is really much faster than your usual autofocus as seen here. Now, taking selfies is where we can see a lot of difference. The Oppo F1S shoots the highest megapixel. However, as you can see, selfies with Beautify is mostly just the softening and brightening of skin. It still looks decent when a photo is taken in good lighting conditions. However, when in low light, your face will look like it is glowing, like literally. You can only adjust the skin tone and how much skin smoothing effect you want, and that's about it. So, even having a 16 megapixel front camera isn't enough if you can't look perfect. The Galaxy A7 takes much better selfies, and you can adjust how large you want your eyes to be, how smooth your skin is, or how slim your face is. However, too much and you'll look like an alien. But honestly, the best selfie camera software among all 3 is still the Zenfone 3. Timing your selfie is easy by just sliding this button here, and you can customize quite a lot to beautify your selfie even before taking it. You can adjust your skin tone, add blush, soften your skin, brighten your face, make your eyes larger, and slim down your face. Other than the camera capabilities, we tend to want to know whether our phone can keep up with our daily usage. Now let's first compare the battery life of each device using Battery Benchmark app. Specs-wise, the Zenfone 3 sports a 3000 mAh battery, while the Oppo F1S features a 3075 mAh battery and the Galaxy A7 with a 2600 mAh battery. The benchmark result shows that the Galaxy A7 has the shortest battery life, while the Zenfone 3 and Oppo F1S is almost on par with each other. Battery is not everything, as performance will also need to be up to par. Specs-wise, the Zenfone 3 has the best CPU fitted with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 625, while the F1S sports a MediaTek MT6750 and the Galaxy A7 with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 615, an older Qualcomm chip. Looking at the benchmark results, both the Oppo F1S and Galaxy A7 just can't compare with the more powerful newer chip of the Zenfone 3. Can't picture the speed from benchmark? Here, you can see how fast the Zenfone 3 launches apps when placed side by side with the other 2 devices such as game apps, YouTube, Facebook, and camera app. Next, let's take a look at these phones' entertainment capabilities, notably the sound. Comparing side by side, the Zenfone 3 offers the most balanced sound, with bass, mids, and trebles nicely blended together. Oppo F1S has very sharp and clear sound, but it can be a little jarring when listening to music since the treble is very high. The Galaxy A7, however, is also balanced but a little muffled if compared with the Zenfone 3's clarity, so between these two, it really depends on your sound preference. Now price-wise, the ASUS Zenfone 3 ZE552KL is going for 1,699 ringgit, the Oppo F1S at 1,198, and the Galaxy A7 priced at 1,599 ringgit. So, after comparing all 3 of these phones, I still have to say in terms of value for money and being the winner in most of the challenges as a daily driver, the ASUS Zenfone 3 is still it.